Coming at you with another video here in the What's It and Thingamabob segment, and specifically on my Funko Pop collection. But we're gonna have a little bit more fun with that today, guys. What I did is I went ahead and asked some friends of mine to send me some questions that I could answer with a Funko Pop or collection that I have. So I wanted to share this segment because Funko and Funko Pops are definitely a special part of this Disneyverse that I love. If you are coming back to my channel, thank you always for your support. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Alex. I am a hardcore Disnerd, but also Canadian, as my handle does suggest. So let's go jump into this What's It and Thingamabob segment and the questions that my friends have set up for me. I really wanted to start off with this question because every collection has a beginning. And so when I did hear about this question, what's my first pop? I mean, we're talking about years and years of me collecting. I mean, I have to think back to about 7-8 years ago when I first started collecting pops. I'm trying to remember, and it's just been so long. But my first recollection of the first pop I ever bought was when I actually went to New York City with a family member, and I saw that in this comic book store, they had Stitch and the original one. So this is the first Funko Pop in the Disney collection, so from the first series. And as we can kind of see, he looks slightly different than the newest variations, but just from my recollection, this was the first one I ever got. But I just felt it would be great to start off with Stitch, being that he is my favorite character in the whole entire world, and every collection has a beginning, and might as well start it with the best. So I'm gonna answer this question with the Stitch Funko Pop. In terms of this next Funko Pop, this one actually answers two questions, which is basically, what was my most expensive pop and what is my largest pop? And it is the Groot 18-inch Funko Pop. I'm trying to hold him up. That's how big he is. He is 18 inches big. Okay, there we go. Now I can fit him into frame. This is a recent Funko Pop that came out about 2 months ago that I ordered off of Amazon, and he was about $150 Canadian or $140 Canadian. So that's the most expensive thing that I've ever spent, but he's worth it just in terms of the size and just how pretty it is with the leaves that are there. And on the bottom, it does say, "I am Groot." So as soon as I saw him, I talked to my boyfriend and was like, I need this. And so this is the 18-inch I Am Groot Funko Pop. I'm not necessarily a completist in any sense of the word for most things, but there is some Funko Pops that I do have pretty much the entirety of the collection. I have pretty much all the baby Groots, or kind of like the teenager Groots, we do have here at my home. They're not all up here in terms of this one shelf. I also have some out there in the living room and in terms of the living spaces. But Groot is definitely one of the completest one. Also, in terms of the majority of the Toy Story collection, I have as well Harry Potter. And if I would have to answer this question, I think it's actually Nightmare Before Christmas that I have the most Funko Pops if I were to kind of talk about a completist type of set. So these are just two of the examples. I have multiples. I have even a whole row down there that's dedicated. Here are two of them where we have Oogie Boogie, and I think his name is Dr. Finkelstein. But I think in terms of the actual collection, I think these are two of my favorite ones, where it is Jack in his Santa outfit, and we also have the mayor. I just think it's a really cool and interesting pop, and around Halloween time, I normally go ahead and make a whole little village out of them. So it's a lot of fun. I love Halloween, and I love putting out my Nightmare Before Christmas pops, as well as any sort of Halloween inspired pops like Hocus Pocus, like the Mickey and Minnie ones that we saw from last year, where one of them is a vampire and one of them is a witch. I also do have some outside pops from Disney, such as like horror movie pops, like Annabelle and Michael Myers and all that jazz. So I really do celebrate Halloween to the full extreme. But this definitely adds some fun to the element, because I don't think it's just a Halloween movie. I think it's a Christmas movie too. I don't know if you're one of those that is more on the side of Halloween or Christmas when it comes to Nightmare Before Christmas, but it just gives me an excuse to put out these pops for about like 3 to 4 months. So I'm not gonna complain, and this is most likely my biggest collection. This is another one that I love within my Nightmare Before Christmas collection, just because it's so unique, and it's Oogie Boogie with his dice and the Wheel of Doom. So it is a glow in the dark, so that's another reason why it's special edition. I'm gonna try to see if I can show you guys that. So as you can see, he glows in the dark, all green, and the red dice as well light up. It is so cool, Disnerds. In terms of Funko Pops are small, so this was a very interesting one because they all kind of look the same size. So I try to think of what was the smallest character that I own in terms of Funko Pop and maybe the cutest Disney one, and I think it's this guy. It is Pegasus from the movie Hercules, and I just love Pegasus. So as we can kind of see, he's just so cute. It's the baby Pegasus and definitely the smallest one in my collection when I kind of put everything together. I just think he's adorable, so I wanted to showcase him in this video too. Now, in terms of Diamond Edition Pops, I do have a couple of them, but this one is hands down my favorite Funko Pop, and it is glitter from head to toe, and that is the Hot Topic exclusive alien from Toy Story. Toy Story is one of my favorite movies, and I really am a completist when it comes to the aliens. So I have most of the Funko remixes, as well as the glitter editions, the large Woody one I have. You know, you can see the full collection there pretty much from the original set and Toy Story 3. But I just am so in love with this pop. He's just so glittery, as you can see there. So this is my Diamond Edition Pop, which is my favorite. For Flocked and Glow in the Dark, I'm actually killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and this is a recent release from Funko. It's at Box Lunch. They have it at EB Games here in Canada, and that's where I picked it up. But it is the Baymax and Mochi Funko. So this one actually glows in the dark and is flocked. It's the Chase Edition, special edition. I really lucked out because you can get either the regular edition or the flocked glow in the dark one. And I was lucky to get the special edition one. So just to give you a close up here, it's one of my favorite characters, Baymax. And this is where he's kind of like a little bit drunk because he's deflated.
Harry baby, Harry baby.
And he's holding on to Mochi. So that's the one that answers this question. This is my favorite one that's flocked and also glow in the dark, which is really cool. It glows all white. For my favorite non-Disney one, I am more of a collector on the Disney Funko side of things. However, I do, of course, have some Funko Pops that are out of the Disneyverse. And when I was trying to think about what's like my favorite non-Disney one, I do have a couple of them. Like, I mean, there's obviously some Harry Potter ones here, but I'm trying to think back of nostalgia and my childhood. And specifically, my favorite movie of all time is The Wizard of Oz. So I thought it would be interesting because I don't think it's one that people see very often. This is the winged monkey from The Wizard of Oz. I think it's just conceptually beautiful, and I find it's just so cute and something to showcase off that you might not have known about me, which is The Wizard of Oz, one of my favorite movies. So for a favorite non-Disney, I'm gonna go ahead and choose this one, the winged monkey. A runner-up, though, that I do want to highlight because it was very difficult for me to choose because they're all beautiful to me if I actually spend time and money on them. And another part of my universe is Harry Potter. I'm more of a Disnerd than a Harry Potter nerd, but I find that this particular Funko Pop from the Harry Potter series is so stinking beautiful and perfection, and that is Luna Lovegood in the lion head costume during the 4th movie, The Goblet of Fire, when she's watching Harry defeat the dragon. So I just find that this particular Funko Pop is just so gorgeous and is definitely a pivotal an important part of my Harry Potter collection because I do have a pretty big collection of Harry Potter Funko Pops. So I think that this one definitely does represent my love of Harry Potter. And Luna Lovegood, aside from Hermione, is my favorite character from the Harry Potter series. This question is a little tricky because in terms of what we consider valuable, it could be financially valuable, so monetary value, or it could also mean personal value, right? So in terms of emotional attachments, Funko Pops themselves can go anywhere between, you know, $30, $40, $50, $100 after they get released because it is a collector's item. And this specifically one has been such a hot topic this year because I have been seeing it on eBay going for like $200, $300. I'm also going to insert here on the pop price guide as to what they value this pop at. But this one, in terms of what I feel is the most valuable out of my collection in terms of the pop price guide, is probably this guy. This is specifically to represent the Disneyland castle with Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney himself. I'm just trying to give you a better view here so that way it's not too much of a reflection because I do want to keep him in the box. But in terms of value of late, this guy is ranging anywhere between $200 to $300 on eBay. It's completely bonkers. I did not spend that much. I definitely spent well underneath $100. He's so gorgeous. And he's going to go with, here I have the Sleeping Beauty Castle and Mickey Mouse one. This for right now best kind of suits that question. Now, in terms of valuable, in terms of what's most meaningful, I mean, there's so many of them that have some great stories to them that I could spend hours on, and I don't want to bore you guys and I don't want to make this video too long. But there is a Funko Pop that reminds me of a particular memory to Disney. And so that specific one is this guy, because my favorite character from Winnie the Pooh is Eeyore and has been a childhood favorite of mine for years. And this specific one is from the Christopher Robin movie, which is a fantastic movie if you have not seen it yet. And what I just love about it is just Eeyore just looks so cute, old school, very much like a teddy bear. And why this one is valuable to me is because I'm attaching it to a particular memory that I have at Disney, which is for this guy. So I find that they just look very, very similar. And the reason why this guy is so valuable to me is because this is the first plush that I ever purchased at Walt Disney World. And I bought this guy for myself when I was 12 or 13 years old. This guy is about 22, 23 years old and is representation of my first ever trip to Walt Disney World. And that started kind of all this madness in this Disneyverse and my obsession. And so I just felt that because they look so stinking similar, both of these guys are extremely valuable to me. Tim from the Game Boys asked me specifically which Funko Pop reminds me of my boyfriend Jay. And there's a lot of them that do, you know, in terms of, I feel like the Groot collection, Baby Groot collection, based off of some dates when we went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you know, in terms of Stitch as well, has become a little baby of her own. But these are the ones that remind me of my boyfriend the most, which are the child Grogu, Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian. We have pretty much every single one that is available. So that is, I guess, another completist where we have most of anything that's Grogu, except for like the really big one, just because I felt like we already have a bunch of really big Funko Pops. But this one reminds me of Jay just because it's kind of the one where he sips, and you kind of see a lot of those memes with him, you know, kind of sipping the tea. And we always call the tea, you know, in terms of the gay universe, in terms of the dragverse and RuPaul. We just say, you know, Baby Yoda is drinking some tea on that. But also to the one with the frog out of his mouth, just because it's so cute. But whenever I think about Baby Grogu or Baby Yoda, I always kind of think about my boyfriend. And he is starting his own little collection of pins and pops because of Baby Grogu. I'm just so excited being that, you know, my boyfriend isn't the hugest Disney fan, that this is something that we could connect to within the Disney universe. And so that's why it does remind me a lot of my boyfriend Jay, just because we did fall in love with Baby Grogu. And I mean, come on, it's just so friggin' stinking cute. And my boyfriend's very cute too. So there we go. There's some Baby Yoda for y'all, Grogu. In terms of my least favorite pop, I wanted to choose one that wasn't really within the Disneyverse just because I pretty much like all the pops I bought. I spent money on them for a reason, right? But this is kind of a pop that has been in my closet and I haven't really looked at. And not that I don't appreciate this pop. I like this pop a lot, but it was kind of like during a time where I was really obsessed with the Big Bang Theory. So it's kind of a non-Disney item and I don't really look at it, and it's cool. I like the character, but it's just not one that I gravitate to in my collection. I've actually been trying to sell it. So this is actually the Sheldon Pop from Big Bang Theory. So when I just kind of was thinking about which one don't I like, I mean, I don't hate him. It's just that like, he's not my favorite in my collection. My favorite Funko in terms of multiples that have been made, so whether it's the same cast but like a different design, or the same character where they've done multiple versions of it, I have so many of them, as you can see, in terms of Groot and Stitch and Ariel, anything from like The Little Mermaid, Nightmare Before Christmas, where it's also like Jack Skellington. So it's also kind of like a repetitive answer. And again, the aliens, especially the alien remixes, but specifically since Stitch is my favorite, I just wanted to showcase kind of these smaller versions of Funko Pop. So these are the keychain versions that kind of show different variations. And I have a lot of the bigger ones behind me and in the living room quarters, but again, Stitch is my favorite character and I have pretty much the most variations of him, and there's still more, especially with the new releases that are coming out in summer. My collection's gonna be huge. I'm getting the big one, I'm getting the Space Adventure Rocket one, like, I can't deal. But these are just to kind of show you on the spot so I can hold up multiple at the same time that this are the different variations of Stitch, and I have pretty much all of him. I am missing the red one with him in the car. I'm missing the one with him in the ducklings, so those bigger pops variations. But for the most part, I have all the other ones. That brings me mostly to my Grail Funko Pop, because I am a Stitch completist and I still need the red one. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the photo right here, as well as the one with the ducklings, just because they're gorgeous Stitch. They're just so expensive. We don't really have the stores here. So those are some Grails that I do have. I also want the red Hades one. That's another Grail of mine. Oh, I also really do want the Kevin and the Balloon House from Up. That is a major Grail. I definitely want that Funko Pop. I think that's beautiful. So that would be my answer to that question. I think that this is a very interesting question because there's so many possibilities when it comes to Funko Pops that have yet to be created. I mean, I could go to a random scene in a movie. One of my favorite movies is Toy Story, and I'm thinking about, is there a way that they can have the Pizza Planet truck? Is there a way that they can have the Pizza Planet claw machine with like the aliens coming down? Because as you can see with the 18-inch of Groot, anything is possible of what they can create. Now, I want to try to think about something that's a little bit more attraction specific, because we do have some that are, Splash Mountain, the Matterhorn, the Skyliner. Why not a Funko Pop about Space Mountain or Tower of Terror? Can you imagine just kind of like a larger scale Tower of Terror with like the carriage as it's kind of coming down, or they're doing something cool with it, like a large scale Space Mountain? So kind of like the Matterhorn version where it's in the car and maybe there's just some things going on around it. I find that those would be some really cool attraction specific ones if I had to think about on the spot, because my favorite attractions are, the Tower of Terror and Space Mountain. Thinking also about shows, that would be really awesome if they could create something around Phantasmic, or kind of like all the villains coming together with like the spray of water. Maybe the World of Color would be kind of cool too, where they kind of have different like there are so many possibilities, but again, that costs time and money, and they're huge and they're very specific. So those ones I do understand are taking some time to develop, but that would be awesome. And last but not least, I wanted to save this question for the last because it is highlighting, my top of the tops. And while all of them, I mean, especially the ones that are on display, I have so much special memories and they're all my favorites for a certain reason, I really wanted to go back to my favorite character and one of my favorite attractions at Walt Disney World, which is Phantasmic, and as well Fantasia, which Sorcerer Mickey is hands down my favorite variation of Mickey. And this guy came out this year and I am so in love with him that I wanted to end off on a big bang, and that is with Sorcerer Mickey. He is huge. Mickey is just so beautiful with his little Sorcerer Mickey hat, him doing some magic. It is a special edition of the Fantasia series that came out late last year, so maybe it is within the last year, but I know that this one I did get a couple of months ago. So this is something that did come out recently, and I wanted to end it off on a bang with one of my favorite characters that wasn't just Stitch. I do want to show my variation of my collection. Disnerds, if you did have some fun with me today, and I did bring a little bit of magic to your day, like Mickey here, please make sure to pay that magic forward to somebody else who may need it. And it's always so much fun making these videos for you and showing a little bit more of my collections with my whatsits and thingamabobs. If you are liking and enjoying everything that you're seeing, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit those alerts to always keep up to date as to what I'm bringing your way. I hope you have a great rest of your week, guys. Bye, Disnerds.